enormous size has been accredited to a number of galactic mergers, which literally cleaned out the center of this galaxy, throwing out billions of stars and therefore reducing its brightness. However, Holmberg 15A still manages to shine as bright as 650 billion suns put together. Over 22 billion light-years from Earth, S500148's core is said to be the result of a combination of supernovae, direct collapse of black holes, and rapid merges. At 40 billion times larger than the mass of our Sun, it is considered one of the most massive ever discovered, 6 times larger than the value of Messier 87. Its diameter is said to be 236.7 billion kilometers across, or roughly 40 times the radius of Pluto's orbit. S500148 is said to be one of the fastest forming black holes, becoming apparent just 1.6 billion years after the Big Bang. It is also one of the strongest in our universe, with a life expectancy that should see it through to the black hole era. The Markarian 501, or MRK 501, is a galaxy known for being one of the highest gamma-ray emitters in the universe, and is considered one of the brightest objects in our sky. First studied in depth by Benjamin Markarian in 1974, it was thought of as a possible binary black hole, which consists of 2 black holes orbiting each other. It has since then been an object of study for this exact reason, with focus on the physical processes within the jets of active galactic nuclei, as well as the variations of the speed of light. Found in the constellation of Hercules, it is recorded to undergo outbursts far more violent than those of others. With plasma jets moving at 99.8% of the speed of light, roughly 456 million light-years away from the Earth, MRK is possibly one of the most eluding black holes, if not the most widely studied. Found in the constellation of Virgo, 3C273 was one of the first extragalactic X-ray sources ever discovered by astronomer Alan Sandage in the early 1960s. Its supermassive black hole has a mass 300 million times larger than the mass of our Sun. At visible wavelengths, 3C273 is 4 trillion times as luminous as the Sun, with jets producing energy across the entire spectrum from radio waves to visible light to X-rays. It has been considered that at the very core of a black hole is infinity, which is why we can never reach the center of one completely. The best way to think of infinity is to think of it as the space between atoms. Although atoms are very tightly packed together, there is still a margin of somewhat microscopic space between them. This space between atoms is thought of as a vacuum that holds everything together, much like vacuum sealing a food product so that it remains in its original state. Without this vacuum, structures would fall apart. There'd be nothing holding them in place together. There would be no three-dimensional reality if there were no vacuum. But it is, of course, invisible. The vacuum itself has been termed a singularity, a point at which the more obvious known and understood laws of physics become null and void. The background behind atoms becomes endless, and as a result, cannot be measured. It is one-dimensional, with no end. In a one-dimensional reality, nothing exists yet. Nothing except the dimension itself, much like the surface of a canvas a painter would use to create their art. This is what it's like at the core of a black hole. For life to work, as we know it, energy relies on the play between positive and negative ions. When protons and electrons collide, energy is formed, enough energy to build molecules, cells, structures, and eventually, even planets. If you were to imagine a black hole filled with an infinite amount of heated positive ions, you'd understand that they become somewhat obsessed with pulling negatively charged electrons toward themselves with the aim of actually creating something new. This intense force is so strong that it actually carries weight, even though it's just a force. This theory of play between positive and negative is found at the core of evolution itself, and such interactions between the charges brought about the building blocks of life that create our three-dimensional reality. With these facts in mind, we can calculate the mass of atoms being drawn into a black hole vacuum, but would not be able to calculate the exact strength of the black hole's singularity itself, because we are unable to calculate infinity. We can estimate, though, via a simpler equation which involves calculating the velocity of an object before and after it hits a targeted surface. At the point of impact, we find the value of momentum, and this number is used to determine the mass of the targeted surface to its core. It's not difficult to understand now why black holes have boggled the minds of scientists for generations. There are countless numbers of them in our universe, and when we consider the sizes of the 10 mentioned in this video, we begin to see in our mind's eye just how vastly huge the universe really is. Beyond those already found using our current technology, there may very well be hundreds more. Once again, it is up to us as humans to fathom the concept of infinity. When we finally do, we'll realize that everything above our Earth's surface is space, a playground for humanity in the future, and it is never ending. As for the Earth ever being pulled back into a black hole, it's not impossible, of course. However, it's unlikely that anyone alive today will ever experience such an event. So, what do you think is the most interesting thing about a black hole? Maybe you have some unanswered questions. Let us know in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching Factnominal.
Even before Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin took their first steps on the moon, it was a source of inspiration to those who studied, wrote, and dreamed of seeing it up close. Since then, we have come a long way from knowing very little about the moon to scientists discovering bizarre secrets every passing day. Welcome to Factnominal, and today let's count back all the weird but astonishing activities that we have witnessed while observing the moon. Moon slime. The moon has been an object of intrigue for years now, and it's no wonder why missions and probes are always being carried out on the surface of the Earth's bright satellite. As part of China's Chang'e 4 mission, the rover Yutu-2, the follow-up that was sent after the original Yutu rover, made a great discovery when it landed on the moon. As the rover went around studying the landscape of the moon, it captured many great images through its camera. It was mission team member Yu Tianyi who came across something rather intriguing while checking the images obtained from the rover's main camera. At first glance, the images showed what appeared to be a bunch of small craters. But upon closer inspection, they discovered that some of these craters were unusual in shape and size and had a peculiar luster to them. The material that they found was described as being gel-like. Scientists have since speculated that the material that was found could possibly be impact melt glass from a meteorite strike, which is now embedded into the crater. Others say it could also be evidence of some volcanic glass from an ancient volcanic explosion, both of which have been found on the moon before. Sounds like the moon is getting a lot more action than we thought. The material and the crater were further examined with the rover's visible and near-infrared spectrometer instrument by detecting scattered and reflected light. Though this has proven to be an exciting new discovery, further studies are being conducted to find out what this substance is and where it originated. So for now, the mystery of the moon gel continues. Mysterious flashes. Several times a week, short bursts of light can be seen on the surface of the moon, and so far, astronomers have only been able to guess as to what it is. Recently, a team of German scientists came up with a new theory, one that could provide critical information for a future moon base. Seismic activities were also observed on the moon, said Hakan Kayal, professor of space technology at Julius Maximilians Universität or JMU in Würzburg, Germany. When the surface moves, gases that reflect sunlight could escape from the interior of the moon. This would explain the luminous phenomena, some of which last for hours. These strange flashes were first observed in the 1950s, but have received little attention from the science world. But the JMU team wants to change that with their newly built lunar telescope in southern Spain that has already started scanning the night sky. It has a dual camera setup that watches for the peculiar light flashes. If they both see the same flash, a series of photos and videos is taken, but the software for their new telescope still needs a bit of work. Kyle and his team are planning to upgrade it with a neural network that can filter out false positives like birds and airplanes. Understanding the phenomenon could be paramount to keep human settlers on the moon safe. Kyle went on to say, anyone who wants to build a lunar base at some point must of course be familiar with the local conditions. A lunar eruption. You may know who were the first men to set foot on the moon, but do you know who were the last? Harrison Schmitt was the very first geologist to visit the moon, and his partner Eugene Cernan was your everyday astronaut and fighter jet pilot. The scientific community had long been lobbying to put a geologist on the moon to understand the moon's land structure. Schmidt's findings were disappointing. He found orange soil on the moon's surface on his very first and only trip there. During the Apollo 17 mission, when Schmidt walked up to the Taurus Littrow Valley on the eastern edge of the Mare Serenitatis, he scuffed the ground with his boot and made a fascinating discovery. In his excitement, he blurred most of the photos he took, but his partner Eugene Cernan, Mr. Steadyhands as he was nicknamed, managed to take a clearer picture. Their crewmate Ron Evans also documented Schmidt's discovery from his orbiting spacecraft. Schmidt was later quoted that the orange soil doesn't look as orange in pictures as it did to them when they saw it for the first time. The objective of the Apollo 17 mission was simple: to get samples of ancient rocks from the lunar mountainous regions and to look for evidence of young volcanic activity in the adjacent valleys. The photographs that were taken during the expedition suggested that volcanic activity might have occurred on Earth's moon. The Shorty crater was explored further to see if there was a volcanic vent in the region. More organic orange soil was discovered near the rim of this crater, along with further evidence suggesting that the crater was formed during an explosive volcanic eruption. Scientists examined the Apollo 17 orange soil under a microscope and were able to identify it as volcanic glass. The samples also contained some black particles that were later found to be ilmenite, a titanium iron oxide mineral. Scientists also realized on further testing that the orange soil was ancient. They estimated it to be 3.64 billion years old, which means it came from an old explosion that unearthed molten material, which lies about 400 kilometers below the surface of the moon. Not only had these eruptions unlocked primordial secrets about the formation of Earth and Moon, they have created a sight to behold as well. In the words of Harrison Schmidt, "I don't think that I have told you just how beautiful this valley of Taurus Littrow is. It is deeper than the Grand Canyon. They're brilliantly illuminated by the sun. When we were there, the mountains were placed against a blacker-than-black sky. And of course, the Earth is always hanging over the southwestern mountain, South Massif. It is truly a magnificent place to be, and I hope that somebody in the not-too-distant future will have a chance to see it again." Jumping water. The popular opinion about the moon is that it is a sad little cosmic sibling of Earth which is utterly barren and has nothing except ugly craters and fancy lunar rocks to offer. However, the moon does have something we are trying to save down here: water. And strangely, this lunar water is too excited for its own good. It was only 2009 when NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, or LRO, found that there was frozen water on the moon. Even in ice form, water on the moon is a big deal, because it not only can be a reserve for drinkable water for astronauts, but can also fuel the rockets on their return trip to Earth. New maps produced by the Lyman Alpha Mapping Project aboard NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter showed that water molecules frozen as ice jump during the day as they warm and cool under the influence of the sun. The moon has a very delicate atmosphere, and during its month-long daylight cycle, the ice warms up and melts around midday. As the ice melts, it rises into the atmosphere and begins to dance. This is until the water meets a cooler part of the moon, resulting in the water gently falling back down on the surface because of the moon's low gravity. This revelation made scientists assume that temperatures on the moon might be cooler than on Pluto. Water is found commonly at higher latitudes of the moon, and it's a lot more than we estimated, hopping around regularly. This process can be roughly described as a lunar water cycle. Scientists are studying the process to understand the scope of how much lunar water can be helpful in future moon missions. Moon spies. It's been over half a century since NASA astronauts walked the first steps on the moon for the entire human species. Yet there is no lack of conspiracy theories challenging their accomplishment. But more interestingly, there is a conspiracy theory about the moon being an alien base for keeping watch on humans. According to this conspiracy theory, during the Apollo 11 mission in 1969, astronaut Armstrong made an even bolder statement than "one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." The theory claims that when Apollo 11 reached the surface of the moon, Armstrong expressed astonishment at finding two unknown spacecrafts already present on the moon's surface. Armstrong further described these UFOs as huge and lined up on the far side of the crater's edge observing the Earth. The theory originated from NASA's claim about losing transmission from Apollo 11 for nearly 2 minutes. Did Armstrong really see aliens during those 2 minutes? Seeing red. When you think of a blood moon, you might immediately imagine something straight out of mythology, or you may have heard of its significance in the Bible. Though at first it may appear to be a bit creepy, it is merely a light trick. A blood moon or red moon happens when the Earth's moon is in a total solar eclipse, leaving the usually whitish-colored satellite with a red or muddy brown hue. It's not easy to see a red moon, especially if the place you live in is highly polluted or has high cloud cover. But think about what happened in older times when people who didn't know why the eclipse was happening saw a bright red moon in the sky. Some ancient cultures saw the red moon and feared it. An example of this is when Christopher Columbus and his crew were stranded on a remote island in present-day Jamaica. The Arawak tribe were initially welcoming, but after Columbus's crew began to rob and kill the tribe members, they turned hostile, understandably so. Columbus, who realized their lack of cooperation and hostility could lead to famine among the crew, knew when the next lunar eclipse would take place as he had an almanac with him. He told the tribe that God was angry that the crew wasn't receiving any food, and that as a sign of his displeasure, the moon will turn red. The tribe must have thought the gods must be crazy for siding with Columbus, but they gave in when they saw the moon really turn red. So, what do you think? Should we plan a return trip to the moon? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to Fact Nominal for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
The eyes of the world today stunned by this image. This was debris from a meteor racing toward Earth, streaking across the sky there, crashing into the ground in those woods.
Actually, it was an asteroid. Scientists say it blew by last week at a distance they describe as a close shave.
The risk in any one year is very low, but it does happen, and if it really did come about on our watch, it could end civilization.
It almost seems like news reports and claims of asteroids lurking around the Milky Way have become something of a norm. Every other month, we hear about the latest asteroid that may lead to galactic death and end our planet as we know it. While most of these are false alarms, every once in a while, a well-guided scientist or astronomer gives us information that we wish we hadn't heard. The stuff that makes your blood quicken and electricity that makes your spine tingle. Welcome to Fact Nominal, and today we're going to take a look at what just flew past Earth and what might be trailing in its wake. A close encounter.
Coming at us from the outer reaches of the solar system is traveling at very high velocity. It has a tremendous amount of kinetic energy.
Will release 100 million megatons of energy. It plows through the atmosphere in a second or two. Whether it's a deep ocean or not, doesn't matter. It's so much bigger than even the depth of the deepest ocean that it just blasts out a huge...
Back in April of this year, the world witnessed an event that could have changed the course of human history. An asteroid known as 2021 GW4 hurled towards Earth at 18,700 miles per hour, over 8 times faster than the SR-71 Blackbird. The impending asteroid was identified by scientists at the Mount Lemmon survey just north of Tucson, Arizona. They are a part of the superordinate project known as Catalina Sky Survey, which aims to locate galactic formations that could pose a threat to Earth. While the summit tracked the impending asteroid's trajectory, it was reported that it missed our home planet by only 12,000 miles. To give you an idea of just how close that is, most stationary satellites used for TV and communication orbit the Earth at 22,000 miles away. The asteroid that was first located on April 8th was approximately 3.5 to 7 meters long, ranging from an SUV size to a large school bus capable of large-scale destruction on impact. Experts reported that this particular asteroid was way closer than anticipated. Astronomer and founder of the Virtual Telescope Project, Gianluca Massi, said that it was an exceptionally close encounter. He went on to say that it is very rare for an asteroid the size of 2021 G4W to be so close to Earth's surface. Out of all the objects roaming around the Earth's surface in 2021, this one was by far the closest to our planet. While most people could not spot this particular asteroid with the naked eye, NASA reported that its relatively small size was the reason why. But even such a small asteroid is more than capable of causing destruction on our planet if it got any closer to the Earth's surface. Most asteroids pass by Earth without causing harm, but there have been instances where these galactic forces have not been so forgiving. The Tunguska Event. Shortly after 7 in the morning on June 30th, 1908, the people of Vanavara, Siberia noticed a bluish bright light zipping across the skyline. Within a minute, cloudy skies turned to red-hot fire, and a large shockwave exploded onto the Earth's surface, knocking people off their feet and shattering windows within hundreds of miles. Known as the Tunguska event, this was the largest reported asteroid explosion near Earth's surface, with an explosion equivalent to 185 Hiroshima bombs. The blast flattened more than 80 million trees in seconds, in an area spanning nearly 800 square miles, but left no crater. Eyewitness reports claim that at least 3 people had tragically lost their lives after the explosion as well. This event is the largest impact event ever recorded on Earth, one capable of wiping out an entire metropolitan city. What is interesting about the event is that scientists and experts were not able to prove whether it was an asteroid or a comet that had entered the Earth's atmosphere. The most widely accepted scientific explanation is that a rocky asteroid or comet entered Earth's atmosphere and then disintegrated with a bang about 3 to 6 miles or 5 to 10 kilometers above the ground. However, if this were the case, it would likely have left behind rocky fragments after blowing up, like the meteor that exploded over Chelyabinsk, Russia did. Since there weren't any smoking gun remnants of a cosmic visitor ever found, a team of researchers has proposed a new theory. They believe that a large iron meteor hurtled toward Earth and came just close enough to generate a tremendous shockwave. But then the meteor curved away from our planet without breaking up, with its mass and momentum carrying it onward through space. If you think that's far-fetched, there are even more bizarre theories that it could have been a crashed UFO or a black hole collision. Whatever it was, let's hope it doesn't pay another visit. Should we worry?
Uncertainty in this. They wanted an immediate answer. Is it going to hit us?
For the 40% that we have not yet found, I can tell you nothing. One could hit tomorrow.
A threat which has a very low probability, all it takes is one, and we are history.
Out of the hundreds of asteroids that have passed Earth in recent history, there's one that has stolen the spotlight and raised concerns within the scientific community. Asteroid Bennu, also known as 101955 Bennu, is a carbonaceous asteroid that has a 1 in 1,750 chance of impacting Earth during the years of 2178 to 2290. Furthermore, researchers were also able to identify September 24, 2182 as the most significant single date in terms of a potential impact. You may be thinking that those are better odds than you winning the lotto, and you're right. But should we be concerned about this looming danger? To put it into perspective, these odds are akin to flipping a coin and having the first 11 attempts land heads. Or any 4 random people sharing a birthday in the same month. The odds of this are actually 1 in 1,750 exactly. Or throwing a dart at a dartboard with your eyes closed and hitting a bullseye. If we were to look at data from the past, the Earth's atmosphere has faced these sorts of projections multiple times. Currently, there are over 2,000 potentially dangerous near-Earth asteroids, or NEAs, that are being monitored. 158 of them have a diameter of more than 1 kilometer or 3,280 feet, making them 2.5 times taller than the Empire State Building. But let's not forget that it doesn't take a massive asteroid to cause widespread damage. An asteroid that was only 32 feet in diameter exploded 15 miles above the Bering Sea in December 2019, with the force equivalent to 10 Hiroshima atomic bombs. The scary part? No international or national space organization had detected the small celestial object before it disintegrated above the unsuspecting Earth. Even as the late great physicist Stephen Hawking stated back in 2018 in his book Brief Answers to Big Questions, an asteroid collision will be the biggest threat to our planet. Earth's insurance policy. Like we have seen in the past, the Earth has had to battle mass extinctions. It has been debated that in the last 500 million years, there have been 5 major mass extinctions that have led to 50% of the population to be completely extinguished. A catastrophe of biblical proportions would lead to the reshaping of civilization. Would we ever be able to rebound? How long would it take? The possibility of large-scale destruction begs the question, how can we ensure these collisions are avoided? The Asteroid Impact and Deflection Assessment is a project to tackle near-Earth objects and stir them away on a potential path that may avoid collision with our planets. Ada, who work with NASA, believe that it would require years of preparation in order to deflect such astronomical objects. Not only do these efforts require years of warning beforehand, it takes decades to stir away the objects after the process has started. For now, these two agencies are humanity's best hope of tackling such a crisis in the near future. So, what do you think? Do we have enough resources to protect Earth from a global catastrophe? What would happen if an asteroid were to impact a city like Los Angeles or New York City? Tell us in the comments. And once again, thanks for watching Fact Nominal. Cannibalistic galaxies, magnetic monsters, and invisible predators. Although we don't know everything about this ever-expanding universe, there are some truly creepy yet fascinating things we have discovered. Welcome to Fact Nominal, and today we will take a look at some of the most mysterious things that have been found in the cosmos. Gravity still rules. It's safe to say that if we had a list of all the nightmarishly fascinating things in the universe out there, black holes would definitely make the list. Black holes are regions of space-time where gravity rules. The gravitational pull of a black hole is so strong that, yep, you guessed it, nothing, not even light, can escape. So what could be even stranger than black holes? Well, try mini black holes. What makes them so fascinating is that they shouldn't really exist. By definition, black holes are created from the death of a star, and for years, astronomers and scientists have concluded that these black holes were thought to be formed by supermassive stars. For example, the smallest black hole known was at least 5 times the mass of the Sun. Mini black holes are about the size of an atom, and if the theories about them prove to be true, it's not just their size that will make them hard to study. Astronomical black holes are so massive that their evaporation rate is negligible. In contrast, mini black holes are hot, unimaginably hot. The core of our Sun is at around 15 million degrees Kelvin. To get even close to the temperature of a mini black hole, you would need to add another 42 zeros. What this incredible temperature means is that mini black holes of tiny mass evaporate into the far, far colder space around them almost infinitely fast. Their expected lifetime is around 1 octillionth of a nanosecond, so that they pop out of existence again almost as soon as they are created. There is much debate on the formation of these mini black holes. While scientists continue to gather data on them, it's clear that we have only grazed the tip of the iceberg. The not-so-great attractor. There seems to be something that's very, very attractive about 220 million light-years away. So much so that it just so happens to be pulling everything, including our whole galaxy, towards itself. The entire universe is expanding, so it's natural for our galaxy to be moving. But this is not quite the direction it should be moving in. There exists somewhat of a gravitational anomaly that scientists and astronomers have named the Great Attractor. This is partly due to its stunning brightness and also its gravitational pull. The Great Attractor was first discovered when scientists were busy observing the Norma Cluster, a supercluster that is about 220 million light-years away. This Great Attractor left them perplexed as it seemed to be tugging and pulling all of the galaxies in the region towards itself. Not only that, it was pulling at an extraordinary speed of 321,868 kilometers per hour. Many theories now exist that dark energy is to blame for this, because how else would you explain a structure so strong and forceful that it's able to attract whole galaxies towards itself at such a high speed? Others say that we may yet be missing out on certain key components of how gravity works on a larger scale. The mystery behind the Great Attractor is an enduring one, and may not be fully understood for a few more years. Shine bright like a quasar. Discovered about half a century ago, quasars can safely be called the brightest objects in the universe. They shine so brightly that they practically outglow the ancient galaxies that contain them. What began as a probe into space following the static interference on translator phone lines, believed to be coming from the Milky Way, led to the discovery of these fascinating objects which were named quasi-stellar radio sources. They later came to be known as quasars, and after years of study, it was finally concluded that these distant specks were not stars. Most of the quasars that have been found are still billions of light years away from us, and have been found more densely in the galaxies that have supermassive black holes and areas of large-scale density of matter. Since space functions like a time machine and the light we see from quasars probably took billions of years to reach us, it's possible that they existed in the early years of the galaxies. Perhaps even the Milky Way had a quasar, but it is now silent. In 2017, the most distant quasar, J1342 plus 0928, was discovered about 13 billion light-years away. Quasars emit an absurd amount of energy, which could be compared to the total light of the stars in our galaxy combined. They are the most luminous and energetic objects that have been detected in the universe, and studying them, although challenging, can potentially help reveal information about how galaxies have evolved over time. Magnetic monsters. Magnetars are a special kind of neutron star, which in turn are a special kind of dead star. From their name, you can probably deduce that they have something to do with magnetism, and you're correct. Magnetars are the most ridiculously magnetic things we have ever discovered. Looks like Magneto's met his match. To give you an idea, we can start with something familiar like the Earth's magnetic field. That's around 1 Gauss, and it isn't much different for the Sun, a few to a few hundred Gauss, depending on what area of the Sun you're measuring. An MRI is 10,000 Gauss. Furthermore, the strongest man-made magnetic fields are a few 100,000 Gauss. Now to the main event. A neutron star carries an incredible trillion Gauss magnetic field. Yes, trillion. As if that wasn't impressive enough, enter the magnetar, coming in with up to 1 quadrillion Gauss. They are the undisputed universal strongest magnetic field champ. Scientists are yet not completely sure what actually makes these magnetars so powerfully magnetic, but one thing is for sure. If you get close to them, the magnetic fields are strong enough to affect your very molecular structure. In other words, you would most likely turn into a human Alka-Seltzer and just dissolve. The good news is, though, they don't last very long in their magnetic monster state. According to research, they settle down into a neutron star after about 10,000 years. Well, we wish these mysterious magnetars a relaxing retirement in their new role. Eridanus supervoid. There is a massive area of nothingness in the universe which has caused experts to scratch their heads. A team of cosmologists from the University of Hawaii first proposed it was a supervoid, spanning 1.8 billion light-years across and 3 billion light-years away from our galaxy. It is found in the constellation Eridanus, from where it gets its name. There are many theories surrounding this void. Astrophysicist Lauren Mersini-Houghton has said, the void could be a parallel universe that bumped into our own at some point in the past. Multiple quantum physicists accept this possibility, but it contradicts the laws of traditional physics. Others say it could be somewhat of a universe-in-mass black hole, which has consumed all of the matter in its vicinity. To be clear, this area is not completely empty, but simply holds 20% less cosmic material like galaxies, stars, and dust. This is absolutely fascinating because voids have been thought to form due to quantum fluctuations in the immediate aftermath of the Big Bang. But this supervoid is far too large for this theory to hold true. It could quite possibly be the largest structure ever discovered in the known universe. Sadly, we know so little about it, and it remains a profound mystery waiting to be solved. The Galaxy Crasher. The mysterious object that passed through our solar system in 2017 has been one of the most exciting astronomical events in recent times. Given the Hawaiian name Oumuamua, meaning a message from afar arriving first. It's quite possibly the most fascinating object, which was first spotted about 21 million miles away from our planet and seemed to be heading away from the Sun at a speed of 196,000 miles per hour. Astronomers have said that the object had to have been nearly half a mile long and about 548 feet wide. The peculiar object had a dark red color and what seemed to be a cigar-like shape to it. At first, it was designated a comet, but upon further study, it was found that it didn't have a comet tail. Some are of the opinion that it is more of an asteroid or a large space rock which was probably flung into space due to gravitational distortion. What really adds to the intrigue is that we are still unable to answer the fundamental questions about the origins of Oumuamua and why it showed such unusual properties and behaviors. Scientists have even blamed alien technology for this interstellar object because of the fact that it behaves like a comet. While other objects would have turned circles around the sun, Oumuamua proved to be different. It is the first ever object to fly into our solar system and back out again. And although it's no longer visible to telescopes, even in space, scientists continue to analyze data to hopefully unlock more mysteries about this unique interstellar visitor. The Devil's Triangle. One of the biggest mysteries on planet Earth happens to be the Bermuda Triangle. You know, the region lying to the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean where ships get pulled to the bottom of the ocean and airplanes seem to vanish into thin air. Well, there is a portion in space above the Earth where we find a similar phenomenon. This region has wreaked havoc on spacecrafts and anything that has entered the area. The Devil's Triangle in space lies somewhere above the South Atlantic, stretching out between Zimbabwe and Chile at a point where the Van Allen radiation belt is in close proximity with the Earth. This area has also been nicknamed the South Atlantic Anomaly, or SAA. It's here that the Earth's magnetic field is very weak, which allows for an influx of intense solar radiation. To put it simply, when spacecrafts pass through this region, astronauts have been known to experience cosmic flashes, and computer systems have stopped working or completely shut down. The same goes for the Hubble telescope, which passes through the SAA 10 times a day, spending a good 15% of its time there. Hubble is unable to collect astronomical data during these moments, which is not ideal but necessary. To make things even more bizarre, the region seems to be expanding, and it is a cause of concern as this could not only affect systems in space and on Earth, but also the increased radiation could possibly lead to a higher risk of cancer. Studying the different levels of radiation and the size of this portion of space will be crucial to understanding what the future of commercial space travel would be like as well. There's no doubt that it is just one of the strangest things in space, just like its earthly counterpart. So what do you think? Will the Great Attractor cause a cosmic collision of galaxies? Tell us in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. What could be more exciting than traversing the deserts of Mars? How about playing Captain Sparrow on Saturn's mysterious foggy moon Titan? Plumbing the depths of a methane ocean, dodging hydrocarbon icebergs, and exploring an ancient frigid shoreline of organic goo a billion miles from the sun. Welcome to Factnominal, and today we will be taking you on a journey to discover the strange findings on the ringed planet's Earth-like moon. Mysterious methane. Titan is the largest of the 62 known moons orbiting Saturn. For years, this celestial body has remained an enigma. Being larger than the planet Mercury and nearly twice the size of our moon, it is also the only extraterrestrial body known to regularly support liquid on its surface. On the surface of Titan, the atmospheric pressure is about 60% greater than that on Earth. This is about the same pressure a person would feel swimming at 50 feet or 15 meters below the surface of the Earth's ocean. Because Titan is less massive than Earth, its gravity doesn't hold on to its gaseous envelope as tightly, which allows for the atmosphere to extend to an altitude 10 times higher than Earth's, nearly 370 miles into space. It's one of the only moons in the solar system with a substantial atmosphere, which is 98% hydrogen and 2% methane. That also means it has impressive landscapes shaped by weather and rainstorms. But Titan's lakes aren't filled with water. Instead, they're full of oily ethane and methane, like liquefied natural gas. The methane in Titan's atmosphere is what makes its complex atmospheric chemistry possible. The source of the methane is a whole nother story. The fact that Titan's methane is continually broken down by sunlight leads scientists to believe that there is a mysterious source that is replenishing it. Volcanic activity